You're welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Esther Vese. France President Emmanuel Macron began his two-day official visit to Nigeria with a meeting with Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari. Both leaders held bilateral talks at the presidential villa in Abuja. The meeting focused on issues relating to security, economy, and relations between both countries. They briefed reporters after the meeting.
France President Emmanuel Macron arrives at the presidential villa in the first leg of his official visit to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He is here to hold bilateral talks with his Nigerian counterpart, Muhammadu Buhari. After a closed-door meeting, both leaders emerged to brief reporters on what they discussed.
For Nigeria, what I personally emphasize is the inter-basin transfer of Lake Chad and the Sahel security. What France is doing, we all know, in trying to stabilize the region, especially in dealing with G5. In our own case, you can all recall when I came to this office, my first port of call was Chad, Niger, Cameroon, and Benin. Our neighbors that happen to be former French colonies. This makes a lot of sense. The best thing is to develop good relationship with your neighbors. It will cost you less in terms of material needed for development. And in this respect, I'm very grateful to France for the support we have been getting.
Macron begins his own address by emphasizing on security. He restated his commitment to supporting Nigeria's fight against Boko Haram in the area of intelligence.
Our bilateral relation is obviously framed by security issues. We discussed with Mr. President about our common fight against Boko Haram and the current war. I reaffirmed the French commitment alongside with you and our willingness to contribute to your efforts in terms of intelligence, but as well specific contribution you would request. Our willingness to help the four countries working together against Boko Haram. You know our strong commitment and our presence in Sahel, and we discussed with Mr. President about our willingness as well to better coordinate these two common efforts against terrorism. We want as well to be more present in terms of stabilization in North and Northeast. That's why we decided to invest $75 million in stabilization in this region through the French Agency for Development.
Macron, however, insists that terrorism in Africa can only be dealt with through a joint effort from African leaders and not through external sources.
The main plan is an African plan. And France is not the one to solve or fix African situations. I mean, this is a past period. So what we want to do, we intervene and we are still present in Africa and Sahel to fight against terrorism, especially in Mali and in the region. And we will stay as long as it is requested by our friends, and especially Mali, and we discussed yesterday about this issue. But what's important to me is how the African governments in different African countries organize themselves to fight against terrorism and get rid of these people.
On the issue of economy, Macron pledged that France will be more involved in Nigeria, especially in the area of digitalization.
I want France to be much more present for small and medium enterprises and in different sectors like digital. We launched Digital Africa, which is now a great initiative allowing entrepreneurship to accelerate, to develop themselves, because it provides new opportunities to young people, and that's the best way as well to provide jobs, obviously, and an actual growth, inclusive growth for our people. I want Digital Africa to be obviously much more present in Nigeria, but I want as well our leaders, our business leaders, working much more together.
He also pledged support to Nigeria's creative sector.
I want us together to develop a much more important relation on culture and sport. I think it's not something marginal. And we probably underestimated during the past years the importance, especially for our young people, of culture and sport. I delivered a speech a few months ago in Ouagadougou saying how the cultural relation between France and key countries in Africa were, for me, very important. And in a new way to proceed, in a new mood, I would say, i.e. promoting much more the African culture, speaking for itself and promoting itself.
Since his election in 2017, Macron has stepped up efforts to improve relations between France and African countries. He had previously visited Mauritania, Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso, and was also the first French president to visit Ghana before his trip to Nigeria. Fidelia Aguncha, TV360, Lagos, Nigeria.
The French president continued his official trip to Nigeria with a visit to the new African shrine in Lagos. Macron was at the popular nightclub to launch the African cultural season scheduled for the year 2020. The evening was marked with different cultural events and some musicians and some musical presentations.
Nigeria's commercial city of Lagos, but this time it's as a special visitor. France President Emmanuel Macron has become the first foreign leader to visit the popular Fela shrine, built in honor of the late musician and activist Fela Kuti. He is welcomed by Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode. After the governor's brief speech, the show begins.
Starting a new era of Ankara interpretation in Nigeria.
Macron is in the new African shrine to inaugurate the African cultural season, slated for 2020. One of the biggest side shows is a portrait of the French president, drawn live on stage by an 11-year-old hyperrealist artist, Karim Waris. The young painter completed a painting of the French president just as he arrived the premises. Emmanuel Macron, at 40, is one of the youngest leaders in the world. His election as France president has generated campaigns for African countries like Nigeria to allow young citizens to take charge. Here, Macron charged African youth to participate actively in efforts to improve the continent.
That 2/3, at least, of your people just never experienced colonization. And it's true for a large part of Africa. And the common approach between Africa and Europe, and especially between Africa and France, were totally framed by the post-colonial relation. I'm sorry, but the new generation never experiences colonialism. My generation never experienced colonialism. It's part of our history, obviously. You have to recognize the bad and the negative pages of this history. And you have to recognize all the past deeds and face them. But you have to move forward. And if you're always polluted by this certain vision, you never move forward. Which means how to build the future for Africa. And for me, and we discussed that with Femi, it's to change this relation. European leaders are not here to lecture African leaders. African leaders are here to take care of their people. And none of us are here to leave the young generation to believe one second, that their future is outside Africa. They have to build their future here in Africa, and we have to help them.
The entertainment and tourism sector in Nigeria has been described as untapped by most experts. Stakeholders in that sector believe that Macron's visit will improve that fact.
Very important. This will go a long way in contributing to the growth of our entertainment industry. Because as you can see, one of those areas that is today creating new jobs and is helping to market Nigeria is the entertainment industry. And this will go a long way in contributing to that.
The doors are open in terms of seeing Lagos as a destination and an artistic hub. It means that you've gotten a massive free advert and validation, 1. 2, it means that the doors are also open for the economic benefit. It means that your work can penetrate the whole world.
I think it's important because a lot of times we all travel to Cannes and to France in looking for co-production. And now co-production is here, to look for us. And I think it's a good is a good sign for us. And I believe that it's going to start a new thing.
It is not the first time Macron will be in Nigeria. He spent 6 months in Abuja as an intern at the French embassy in 2002. The 40-year-old will hold talks with entrepreneurs in Lagos before leaving Nigeria. Adeshewa Udushoga, TV360 Lagos, Nigeria.
In Abuja, a coalition of civil society groups known as the Joint Civil Society Action Committee is protesting in Abuja to mourn the recent killings in the country. The groups dressed in black attires are mourning the killings of the 7 police officers in the Federal Capital Territory and the recent killings in Plateau State. The protesters are marching from the Unity Fountain in Abuja towards the presidential villa, alleging that the government has not shown enough commitment, empathy, and political will to address the killings across the country. They are also accusing the security agencies of incompetence and negligence in the discharge of their duties.
It is very bad, and from Benue to Ebonyi, so it's also not just restricted to a particular part of the country. So from Middle Belt, Northeast, Northwest, Southeast, everywhere. There's just the killings, and then more importantly, it's government's response. And I think that's where we're just out today to say that, look, yes, things happen, but it is the duty of government. The Constitution even states it out very clearly. Security and welfare of citizens is the role of government. And when citizens are in a country that they don't feel safe or they don't feel secure, it's a problem.
It's just disheartening for me, and I think something needs to be done because we can't continue like this. We're going nowhere. We're leading nowhere. It's going down, and everything is just getting worse. I don't see any light in the tunnel. There's no light at the end of any tunnel.
I don't believe that this is the best the Northern Brothers can offer in terms of leadership, because I've met articulate, well-grounded human being brothers from the North. What is wrong and what's going on in Nigeria is that we've allowed the worst of us, the very worst of us, to lead the best of us.
President Bukola Saraki has called for the collaboration of the 36 States Assembly in the amendment of the 1999 Constitution in order to provide for state and community policing in the country. The creation of state police has been suggested in recent times in a bid to curb killings across the country, and this would attract the alteration of the Constitution and the passage of same by both the national and state assemblies. Saraki, however, pleaded for the support of the 36 States Assembly, who visited to appreciate the passage of the bill that granted financial autonomy to state legislature. While members of the House of Representatives are opposing the federal government's decision to share the recovered $322 million of baccalaureate to poor families in the country, the lawmakers insist that the federal government cannot spend the money without its approval. The federal government had in June disclosed that it will disburse the recovered money to 302 poor households in 19 states starting from July. It added that it will be part of the government's social investment program, which aims to lift millions of Nigerians out of poverty. And in education, the West African Examinations Council (WAEC) has announced the result of the 2018 West African Senior School Certification Exam. At a press briefing on Wednesday, the head of the Nigerian National Office, WAEC, Olu Adenipekun, said only 768,016 candidates obtained credits and above in a minimum of 5 subjects, including English, language, and mathematics. This is a pass rate of 49.98% out of the 1,572,396 candidates that sat for the examination.
The analysis of statistics of performance of candidates in the examination shows that out of 1,572,396 candidates that sat the examinations in Nigeria, 1,213,244 candidates, representing 76.84%, obtained credits and above in a minimum of any 5 subjects, that is, with or without English language and or mathematics. Also, 858,424 candidates, representing 54.59% of the candidates, obtained credits and above in a minimum of 5 subjects, including English language only, but without mathematics. While a total of 786,016 candidates, representing 49.98% of the candidates, obtained credits and above in a minimum of 5 subjects, including English language and mathematics. In this category of candidates were 389,655 male, representing 47.32%, and 396,361 female, representing 52.92%. Candidates who sat the examination and who have fulfilled their financial obligation to the Council are now free to check the details of their performance on the Council's result websites, www.waedirect.org.
You're still watching News Now. Up next is News in Business. Please stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, yeah?
Yes, Oga.
Okay.
Where I go come find 300 naira change?
I better try look for change now. When they do business. Hey, Timmy. I did, bro. I be. I beg, give me 200 naira. Make I take sort out this guy. Let's see no get change.
Take it, give us.
I said 200.
Give her 100 naira.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree to pay 200.
How much you think they carry people from that place we carry on the chair?
Okay.
No, they touch me.
Now 100 naira. He agreed to pay.
Because that was what you said was the fair. Why you not go pay you? Why you they extort your customer? You see this corruption, what would they hear for news? They see for people everywhere. Now be this so. This is corruption, not in our country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
My name is Alero. I am not sick. I just need you to help put your stamp on this medical report. I want to tender it at my office as a sick leave. I'll pay 10,000 naira.
Ma'am, that is impersonation. I'm not a doctor.
Oga, be like say this English no go pay. I go increase the money to 20,000 naira. I beg. You know, if I give you that 20,000, as you wide, so, you know, if it still help your condition more. So, you don't say you spread well.
As I spread like virus, I'll be.
You talk. Come
out! If person come to your hospital, talk say make you give am fake medical report, make you go take collect sick leave. Talk and say no, na corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business News on News Now. I am Annetta Felix. Nigeria's central bank has injected $210 million into the interbank foreign exchange market, extending efforts to boost liquidity and alleviate dollar shortages. The bank said in a statement it had released $100 million earmarked for the wholesale market, $55 million for small businesses and individuals, and $55 million for certain dollar expenses such as school fees and medical bills. The acting director, Corporate Communications Department, CBN, Isaac Okurafo, reassured the public that the bank would continue to intervene in the interbank forex market in line with its quest to sustain liquidity in the market and maintain stability. The Association of Telecommunications Companies of Nigeria, ATCON, have warned that the new directive on data rollover will negatively impact service providers' revenues. Olushola Teniola, ATCON president, told newsmen on Tuesday that the directive would ensure full utilization of data purchased by telecoms consumers. The Nigeria Communications Commission, NCC, had directed telcos to roll over unused data for 7 days. He said the customers' protection would, however, be to the detriment of network providers. Oil prices edged up on Wednesday following a report of tightening U.S. fuel inventories amid an outage at Syncrude Canada Oil Sands facility in Alberta, which usually supplies the United States. U.S. crude futures CLC1 rose 46 cents to $74.60 a barrel, while Brent crude futures were changing hands at $78.10 per barrel. Prices were also pushed up by looming U.S. sanctions against Iran, which threatened to cut supplies to an already tight market despite pledges by producer cartel OPEC to raise output to make up for disruptions. Recording a bearish run for the third time this week, the equities market closed Wednesday's trading session with a 0.28% decline in the all share index, closed at 37,499 basis points, with a market capitalization at 13.584 trillion naira. The percentage gainers was led by Etena PLC, Guarantee Trust Bank, Zenith Bank, and Dangote Cement. Their share prices closed at 7 naira, 40 naira, 24.3 naira and 223 naira respectively. On the flip side, the percentage laggards was led by Nestle at 1,500 naira, Unilever at 51.25 naira, Forte Oil at 26.1 naira, and Nigerian Breweries at 111 naira. The top traders chart was dominated by Multiverse, NACO, Guarantee Trust Bank, and Access Bank. In summary, the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed Wednesday's trading session with a total of 505.737 million shares worth 3.126 billion naira transacted in 3,960 deals. That has been business news on News Now. I am Annetta Felix. The rest of the news continues in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Corruption not in my country.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
My name is Alero. I am not sick. I just need you to help put your stamp on this medical report. I want to tender it at my office as a sick leave. I'll pay 10,000 naira.
Ma'am, that is impersonation. I'm not a doctor.
Oga, be like say this English no go pay. I go increase the money to 20,000 naira. I beg. You know, if I give you that 20,000, as you wide, so if it still help your condition more. So you know, say you spread well.
As I spread like virus, I mean.
You talk.
Come out! If person come your hospital, talk say make you give am fake medical report, make you go take collect sick leave. Talk and say no, na corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Glad to have you back. And now to news on the foreign scene. More than 800,000 people have fled their homes since June with the need for food as a result of violence in southern Ethiopia. The violence erupted in April about 400 kilometers south of the capital, and in all, more than 1.2 million people have been forced to flee. According to reports, renewed violence along the border areas of Gedo and West Guji zones since early June has led to the displacement of more than 642,152 internally displaced persons in Gedo zone and 176,098 internally displaced persons in West Guji zone of Oromia region. The report added that traditional leaders have encouraged the movement of people back to their homes after the initial fighting in April, but many fled again in June. In Kenya, at least 9 people were killed and dozens injured when a bus and truck collided on a busy highway southeast of Kenya's capital. According to Nairobi television, the accident, which resulted in a fireball that incinerated both vehicles, took place near the town of Imali, that's 125 kilometers southeast of Nairobi. However, the injured have since been taken to a nearby hospital. Now, according to the latest statistics on the website of the World Health Organization, the road accidents kill between 3,000 and 13,000 Kenyans every year. To news and sports, Real Madrid has denied they have agreed to sign a deal for PSG forward Kylian Mbappe. Reports on Wednesday had suggested the Spanish club struck a deal worth over 270 million euros with the French champions, but the European champions have denied it. The denial is the second of the week by Real, who also refuted reports linking them with PSG's Neymar on Monday. England's coach Gareth Southgate has heaped praise on Jordan Pickford after the England goalkeeper emerged from a difficult week to inspire the team's penalty shootout win over Colombia. The Everton's number 1 became the first England goalkeeper since David Seaman against Argentina in Saint Etienne in 1998 to save a spot kick in a shootout at a major tournament as the national team forced their way into the quarterfinals. They face Sweden on Saturday. That's it on News Now. You can watch some of our other programs on our website at www.tv360nigeria.com or download our app on Play Store, and that's TV360 Nigeria. You can watch us on Facebook at facebook.com/TV360online. We are also on Twitter at twitter.com/TV360 Nigeria. We are live on YouTube at youtube.com/TV360 Nigeria, and we are also on Google Plus, and our handle is TV360 Nigeria. Thank you very much for watching. I am Esther Vese.